20 years ago, I was about to celebrate my first Thanksgiving with my husband and his family. My mother-in-law asked me to bring 2 pumpkin pies. I thought, how hard can that be? I wanted to impress, so I decided to make them from scratch. I found a recipe, followed it exactly, and showed up on Thanksgiving Day with 2 beautiful pumpkin pies. And if the story ended there, we wouldn't be making this video, but one bite told me something different. With sawdust pie crust, I knew that baking a pie was harder than I thought. So, being determined to do it better, I followed and tried and tested several recipes until I found the perfect pie crust, which I would like to share with you today. My first tip to bake a perfect pie crust is fresh and cold ingredients. If you have something like this in your pantry that's been sitting there for you don't know how long, this shortening is probably not fresh anymore, and it's time to probably throw it out. Buy a fresh new can and start with fresh shortening or fresh butter. Also, your flour needs to be fresh, and you can preserve your flour by keeping a small amount in a gallon-sized bag in your fridge. That'll also keep it cold. And cold ingredients are the next portion. I like to keep all my ingredients cold, even the shortening. So I have in here 2.5 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. The flour should be cold also. If you give it a little stir like that, that sifts and incorporates everything together, which is what you want to do first. Then you add your shortening. I've been keeping my shortening cold, and you can just add it right into your food processor. You're going to try to get this into pea-sized bits. It's better to pulse that and let everything blend together. And here we have those pea-sized bits that we're after. Using a food processor is the other tip, or using a pastry cutter, because we don't want to handle our pie crust too much. When we use our warm hands, we can take that crumbly texture I just showed you and turn it into a floury, mushy mess with our warm hands, because that will get the shortening and butter too warm and ruin the texture, which leads to a tough pie dough. So handling is very important, not to handle your pie crust too much. Next, I have my 2 secret ingredients, and those would be apple cider vinegar and egg. The apple cider vinegar helps to not create too much gluten, and gluten is the enemy to a flaky pie crust. Then the egg adds to texture, color, and is 75% water, which adds to the liquid of the pie crust. So we also want that water ice cold. I've already blended a 1/3 cup of water, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, which we will now blend. And we want to blend this on pulse also. Some people like to get this to a consistency of a ball, and I don't want to go quite that far. But this is what you want your pie crust to look like when the liquid is blended. The last tip is to not overhandle and to let your pie crust rest. You've mixed all the ingredients together, and now they've gotten really excited, and we want everything to calm down. So I take my pie crust on some saran wrap like this, and fold it over, and kind of press things down and create a little disc. Your pie crust is ready to go now. You put this in your fridge for an hour or up to 2 days, so you can do this ahead. Or you can stick this right in your freezer and it will be ready for up to a month. So these are my tips to making a perfect pie crust. I hope you try it and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.